Peace was good. Welcome to another hip hop album review. This is part 51. Album I will be reviewing is GZA's second album, Liquid Swords, released in 1995. I have to stress this is not his first album. This is his second album. Alright? And I'll explain why in a second. I'm going to talk about a little bit about GZA, his background and shit. He's an MC from Brooklyn, New York. Brownsville, Brooklyn. And he's like the oldest member of the Wu-Tang Clan. Both RZA and Old Dirty Bastard are his cousins and stuff like that, so they all related and stuff like that. I want to say he got his start back in the early 80s, early to mid 80s. Both RZA, GZA, and Old Dirty Bastard were part of a group called All In Together Now, and which is pretty much Wu-Tang, but just 3 members. And excuse me, but they were under a different name, meaning that RZA wasn't known as RZA back then and so forth. RZA was known as Prince Rakeem. GZA was known as the Genius, hence his name. And Old Dirty Bastard was known as Ason because they're all 5% nation. They're all 5%ers and shit like that, part of the 5% nation, things of that nature. And then GZA was known to battle every MC in New York City. He would purposely go to every borough to look for the best MC in that neighborhood and try to battle them and shit like that. And 9 times out of 10, he would win. And based on interviews that I read about him and things of that nature. And fast forward to the late 80s, early 90s, he signed a record deal with Cold Channel Records. And he had released his first album, Words from the Genius. Cold Channel Records is home to people like, Big Daddy Kane, Kool G Rap, Master Ace, Biz Markie, to name a few. I believe MC Shan too, because they were the whole Juice Crew and all that shit. And in 1992, Wu-Tang Clan, they formed together and they put out Protect Your Neck, which was their first single. And then in 1993 they put out Enter the 36 Chambers, and that's a classic album from front to back. And fast forward to 1995, we have this album, Liquid Swords. So which means GZA was actually the first MC from Wu-Tang to put out a solo track, the solo album, not Method Man. A lot of people think it was Method Man. It's not. It was GZA, and I think a lot of people kind of don't know, just don't give it, people don't give credit, they just don't know. Excuse me. Anyways, get to this album, very dope cover. As you can see this dude, slicing dude's neck and shit, slicing his jugular and shit. Dude has an old, hoodie. I would like some shit like that. That would look dope. You see these guys getting killed in the chessboard, the battlefield, the chessboard. It's like a metaphor, the pawns and all that shit getting killed and shit like that. Pretty dope. Excuse me. You can see here, you see these cats, battling, killing each other and shit like that. You see pictures of GZA with his kufi, because like I say, he's Muslim. He's part of the 5% nation. You see pictures right here. And you see a dope, nice drawing right here. I'm assuming that's GZA himself. And you see GZA right here, hooded figure. And you can hardly see his face. I kind of like that. It adds a mysterious vibe to the picture. And, it's black and white, and it's pretty dope. Look like a horror movie or some shit. Anyways, the cover art was done by a DC comic artist, Dennis Cohen. DC, who does, deals with Batman, Superman and things of that nature. So I thought that was pretty original. Oh shit. Sorry about that. And what's cool about this is that if you see in the back, it has like a little paragraph and stuff like that. And all the letterings that's in white are the track listings of the songs. So I thought that was pretty clever. That's pretty that's very, very clever, very ahead of its time, especially for 1995. Alright? Singles I'm going to talk about. There's 4 singles off the album. First single is I Got Your Back, which is his first single. That came out in '94. That song was actually featured on the Fresh soundtrack back in '94, as well as Raekwon's first single "Heaven and Hell," which was featured on Only Built for Cuban Links. Pretty interesting. Second song, second single, Liquid Swords. Third song, Cold World. Shadowboxin, you know, slash fourth chamber is their is his fourth single, the last single of the album. You know how I get down. I'm about to break down some of the songs. You know how I get down with that. Alright, first song, Liquid Swords, self-titled song. Pretty dope. What's interesting about this track, the sample that they got the dialogue from is from the movie Shogun Assassins. Where the little boy saying, "When I was little, blah blah blah," whatever he said next, is from this movie right here. This movie is a must-have in collection. It's action-packed, very gory, very bloody. You know what I mean? As you can see here, it says right here, Shogun Assassin has sliced through pop culture, much like the lone wolf slices through evildoers. Influenced everything from GZA's 1995 Liquid Swords album to Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill Volume 2. So that right there tells you right there, like, pretty much all the sample dialogues, all the dialogue samples from the movie is from this movie right here, from the albums from that movie. Alright, so anyway, Liquid Swords, very dope. Nice video, very dope. Next song, Duel of the Iron Mike, featuring Old Dirty Bastard, rest in peace. Dreddy Cougar, who was affiliate, who was part of Royal Fam with Timbo King and Kim, the Ill Figure, who is one of my all-time favorite Wu affiliated producers. I feel like he doesn't really get a lot of recognition. Doesn't really get a lot of shine. He also uses the EPS 16 Plus, especially for the Royal Family, his earlier production. And Dreddy Cougar is responsible for the he's an A&R now because he retired from rapping, but he put out a compilation called Wu-Tang Meets the Indie Culture. I briefly talked about that when I was doing the R.A. the Rugged Man compilation album that he put out. Anyways, getting back to this album, Dreddy Cougar, Inspector Deck, and Master Killer. In my opinion, I feel like Inspector Deck and Master Killer had the best verses in that song. In that song, in my opinion, they definitely stole the show. Although they all did their thing, but I feel like Inspector Deck definitely did his thing. Next song, Living in the World Today. Very dope song. I really like that song a lot. Pretty dope. Self-explanatory, you know, it talks about the ills in the world and shit like that. The song Gold, number 4, Gold, one of my favorite songs off the album. I mean, very, very dope. You know, Method Man, he has a funny line where he says, well, he doesn't rap, but you know, he's just talking in the beginning. It's like, yo, niggas be smelling their piss now. Like, I be saying that shit too. Like, you know, what I get from that is, like, you know, niggas that be feeling themselves a little bit too much, you know, this is that nature. I thought that's pretty funny. But that song Gold, pretty dope. I like that song a lot. Number 5, track 5, Cold World, pretty dope song, featuring Inspector Deck. Very dope video, very dark. You know, you can hear like the winter cold breeze throughout the song, and I thought that was pretty dope. It talks about how people are cold in the world, people have no, especially in the hood, in the inner cities and shit like that. Just like how the world just kind of like forget about the ghetto, but the ghetto is part of the city of the world too. You know, like we all people at the end of the day. Like, you know, we should all help out each other and things of that nature. But you know how it is. You know, people are apathetic these days. They don't give a fuck about nobody but themselves. Fucking selfish bastards, if you ask me. But pretty dope song called World. Track 6, Labels. That song Labels, pretty interesting track, very clever. You know, he raps, he does his verses, but throughout his verses he does name dropping of record labels of the time at the time and record labels today. Pretty dope. I'll give you an example. His first line where he says, Tommy ain't my motherfucking boy. You know, he talked about Tommy Boy Records, you know, which was the record label for Naughty by Nature, Queen Latifah, the Flavor Unit, House of Pain, people like that. And there's a line where he also says, I'll show Living Large niggas how to flip a Def Jam, because Living Large was also a record label back in the early 90s. I believe Roxanne Shante, I think Chubb Rock, I'm not sure about that. I could be wrong about that. But I know Roxanne Shante and YZ was definitely part of Living Large Records. And he talks about that, and then he just goes throughout the whole album, just name dropping. And what's interesting is that there's an article where they talk about they break down like all the record labels that he named, and they talk about which record labels are defunct, meaning they're no longer in business, and the ones that's running today. So I thought that's pretty interesting. When I find that article, I'll post it down the link. It's a definitely interesting read, you know what I mean? Definitely dope. Track 7, Fourth Chambers, featuring Ghostface Killer, RZA, and Killer Priest. Man, I mean, to me, Ghostface and Killer Priest had the best verses in that whole song. They all do their thing, GZA and RZA, they all do their thing. But I feel like those two that I mentioned, they definitely stole the show, especially Killer Priest. Dope video too. The video starts off with Shadowboxin. You see Method Man rapping, and then it cuts off into the Fourth Chamber video. You see them niggas like dressed up in the military, like in the military, like in like Vietnam, like that Vietnam scene, but it's at night and it's dark and it's raining. You see these cats, they're in the battlefield, they're about to go kill niggas and shit like that. It's pretty dope. Track 8, Shadowboxin. I feel like that's more of a Method Man song than a GZA song, because Method Man, he has probably like 2 or 3 verses, probably like 2 verses, and GZA only has like 1 verse. But Method Man, he definitely stole the show on that song. Pretty dope song. Next song, Hellsman Staff, Killer Hills 10304, which is the zip code for Park Hills and Staten Island. That song is pretty dope. Talks about a drug dealers gone bad and things of that nature. And it's pretty dope, like how descriptive they were with that song. It's pretty dope. The next song, Investigative Reports, track 10. Very, very clever song. All this time, like after all these years, like until I read the lyrics and shit like that on a website, it is just so amazing how GZA just did that. With that song, Investigative Reports, it features Raekwon, Ghostface Killer, and You God. Man, like I'm just like speechless with that song, just based on the lyrics alone. Because in this song, it talks about a guy, who's trying to gain power, from the drugs, from the gangs, or like the drug trade and stuff like that. But the narrative, the story is being told from a cop's point of view, from the police point of view. And I thought that's fucking clever, cause like when you think about it, when Ghostface Killer, GZA, when he started his verse saying calling all cars, like, that's old school police shit from the 30s that would do that, you know what I mean? And I put 2 to 2 together, like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? Just like how they talk about it is really dope. Next song, Swordsman. I love this song. To me, in my opinion, it's my favorite track off the album. That beat is very dark, it's grimy, it's at that basement feel of the song. That song is pretty interesting because that song, it pretty much, in the first verse, he talks about, people thinking about superstition, believing, he talks about himself, like, just him learning about, superstitions when he was growing up and shit like that. But then, as he got older, he noticed, like, a lot of that shit is bullshit. Like, it's like, what I pretty much got from that song is that, just believe your own truths. Don't believe what everybody thinks, you know what I mean? Just go research for certain things, you know. Like, you decide what's true or what's not, you know what I mean? That's what I got from the first verse. And the second song, he talks about, you know, black history, he talks about the slaves and things of that nature, and I thought that was pretty cool, you know. He definitely went deep with that song, like, you know, he talked about spirituality, he went from superstition, spirituality, you know, him having doubts and, you know, things of that nature. And like I said, it's just him, you know, talking about having truth, you know, having your own truths and things of that nature. I mean, it's good to gain certain things from other people, but have your own beliefs as well, and that's what I got from that song. Next track, I Got Your Back, pretty dope song. Like I said, that's the first single off the album. Very interesting track is because in this song he's talking about he's talking about his nephew on this track, which I didn't know until I did some research on you know, before reviewing this album. This song, like I said, it talks about his nephew, where, you know, his nephew is pretty much, I don't want to say like a latchkey kid, but pretty much a kid, you know, grew up in the hood with no father figure, because his father, you know, was in jail since '88, so he never grew up with his father. He's, you know, grew up with his mom and shit like that, but, you know, the hood taught him is his father and shit like that, so he fell victim to the hood and things of that nature. And the video for it is grimy, is gritty, is street, and the two kids playing in the video is actually GZA's both of his nephews and stuff like that. And sadly, coincidentally, years later, these kids are serving time in jail now, which is pretty sad. You know, they fell victim to that. And I Got Your Back is pretty much like, yo, I got your back, you know, through hard times and things of that nature. But at the same time, you gotta have your own back too, you know what I mean? And that's what I got from that song too. And the last song, Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth, featuring Killer Priest, is, you know, Killer Priest's first introduction to the world. Because yeah, he got his first appearance on Wax, you know, on like, you know, on a Diary of a Madman with Gravediggers back in 1994. But a lot of people didn't really know who Killer Priest was. But then you got this, and then you got this song, Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth, which is the acronym for Bible. Let's see. Yeah, Bible and shit. Yeah, it's a Bible song, the infamous Bible song, and that song is also actually featured on the what album is that? The Heavy Mental album, Killer Priest's first album. And that's it. I definitely recommend this album a lot. And what's interesting is that this album was actually released back in July, late July, like in the third week of July. It is a double disc album. You know, it's the actual album itself. The second disc comes with it comes with the instrumentals of the album, and it comes with a little chess, like a mini chess box and stuff like that, so you can play pool, you can play chess and stuff like that. And as well as it comes with a 20-page like interview or whatever, like it comes with 20 pages of goodies and stuff like that. Would I get it? I don't know. Maybe if I see it for a cheap price, I might pick it up, but I'll go with the OG copy, you know what I mean? But it would definitely be interesting to see, you know, what his mind went through while making that track, while making that album. And supposedly he's supposed to come out with Liquid Swords Part 2. And we'll see how that goes. Production's gonna be done by RZA. And I just hope RZA, you know, I want the old grimy RZA, the RZA from like the 90s, you know, from like 92 to like 98, you know, when RZA was using the ASR 10 or the EPS 16 Plus, because the shit that RZA's putting out lately, I'm just not feeling production wise, and the shit he's been putting out solo wise. Because the last thing I liked from RZA was probably like Digital Bullet, and that's saying a lot, you know what I mean? But I don't know. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed that review. Let me know what you guys think. Give me your thoughts. If you like the album, if you didn't like the album, let me know. Peace.